Wow!
Hello. To this day, Lee Majors is known to most Americans as Steve Austin, aka the $6 Million Man, though the signature science fiction program ended 40 years ago. Running for 99 episodes from 1974 to 1978, the $6 Million Man followed the adventures of Steve Austin, an ex-astronaut rebuilt after nearly losing his life in an accident. Using, you guessed it, $6 million, Austin is turned into a cyborg with all the features of a man still intact, plus the added bonuses of enhanced strength, vision, speed, etc. The $6 Million Man was a huge step forward for grounded science fiction on television, and it remains supremely popular today. There are even still reports that Mark Wahlberg is working on a reboot film based on the show to be titled The $6 Billion Man, obviously with an upgraded dollar amount because, well, inflation just plain stinks. As 2019 marks 41 years since the show said its goodbyes, here's a look at some facts you likely never knew about the series that turned Lee Majors into Steve Austin. During the action scenes, viewers could often see Majors' full body and face, something camera and editing work usually hide, given the presence of stuntmen in most cases. Though he couldn't do every stunt, Majors had the motivation and athleticism to do what he reportedly believes to be over 80% of his own stunts. He played college football. Amid contract disputes in 1977, producers reportedly began sniffing around for new candidates to fill their lead actors' shoes. One of those considered was Olympian Bruce Jenner, now known as Caitlyn Jenner. Interestingly enough, Jenner would end up a replacement for an actor on another popular series, Chips. The move was extremely unpopular with fans and only lasted a handful of episodes. With things, producers worked things out with Majors. Farrah Fawcett had not one role on the show, but four. Charlie's Angels superstar Farrah Fawcett was married to Lee Majors while they were both on popular television programs. However, before Fawcett scored her gig on Angels, she appeared on The $6 Million Man, playing 3 different characters in 4 different episodes. The show was based on a novel. The $6 Million Man may have seemed like an original concept at the time, but it was loosely based on the best-selling novel by Martin Caidin, Cyborg, which was released in 1972. It inspired multiple sequels in book form. Martin Caidin, the author of Cyborg and the creator of The $6 Million Man, was a pilot for the US Air Force and then became a public relations spokesman for NASA before writing his 1971 novel, Cyborg. When he died in 1997, Caidin's ashes were scattered by a plane over the Cocoa Beach coastline, famous for spaceship testing. There were 6 television movies. The show was a successful movie franchise outside of its main television programming. Before the series aired its first episode, Lee Majors took on the role of Steve Austin in 3 made-for-television movies. The first movie, titled The $6 Million Man, was such a ratings success, it inspired the creation of 2 more films, titled The $6 Million Man, Wine, Women and War, and The $6 Million Man, The Solid Gold Kidnapping. The end of the program was also followed by 3 more TV films, with Majors reprising his role as Austin in all 3. The movies focused on combining The $6 Million Man with its spin-off series, The Bionic Woman, which starred Lindsay Wagner in the lead role and ran for 3 seasons. The return of The $6 Million Man and The Bionic Woman aired in 1987. Bionic Showdown, The $6 Million Man and The Bionic Woman aired in 1989, and Bionic Ever After aired in 1994. The last film featured a special wedding many fans had been awaiting for years. If you are a The $6 Million Man fan in the Washington, D.C. area and have a touch of déjà vu, it may be because the exterior shots of OSI headquarters that directed Austin activities are actually the Russell Senate office building. The shot is taken from the Senate side of the Capitol across Constitution Avenue. Although the title The $6 Million Man seems incautious, it just proves what power cultural perceptions have in so many genres. In Israel, the number 6 million is linked to the Holocaust, so when Maggio's show was televised there, it was called The Man Who Is Worth Millions. The M2F2 aircraft seen crashing in the show's opening sequence was built by Northrop. The audio sound effects are from a 1967 Edwards Air Force base with audio dubbed in by Maggios. The actual test pilot Bruce Patterson lost use of his right eye after hitting the ground at 250 miles per hour and said he detested reliving that moment week after week on the show. And in more crash news, the crash that almost cost Patterson his life in the opening credits was the fault of a news helicopter pilot who encroached on the restricted airspace for Patterson's test flight. He had to suddenly veer to avoid a mid-air collision and plummeted to the ground, which led to his injuries. When The $6 Million Man was first aired, the mighty Steve Austin had to occasionally kill bad guys in the name of liberty and justice for all. But as his character emerged as a hero with children, writers toned down the violence and Steve lightened up on his use of deadly force.